Okay, so today we're going to do page 10 and 11. And so these examples they have more steps, and you could use a distributive property if you want to. I'm going to show you how to do both. Using the distributive property is just a second option. Okay, so to do that, to solve an equation, you have to remove the brackets. I'm going to show you how to do it with removing and without removing the brackets. Okay, so to remove the brackets, you will distribute the value in front of the brackets. And once the brackets are removed, you follow the steps you have used previously. Okay, so first I'm going to show you how we've been doing it already. Okay, so if I take a look at this, and this kind of follows how the math antics video worked too, right? So I have how my equation was constructed and how I'm going to deconstruct it. So if I take a look here, the first thing that's happening to x, because it's inside a bracket, is x is being subtracted by 1. Okay, so that's my first step. Okay, now outside the bracket is a 2 right up, so that means multiplied. Then it is being multiplied by 2. Okay, so how would I deconstruct that? Okay, opposite of multiplying is dividing. Opposite of subtracting is adding. Okay, so when I follow those things, see here the first thing would be divide by 2. So divide everything on the left by 2 and everything on the right by 2. When I do that, my 2's cancel out. And I'm left with x minus 1 equals 3. Okay, you don't have to write the brackets if there's nothing else on the left-hand side. Then I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And that gives me x equals 4. Okay, so that's solving it using like the story of x method or using a flow chart method. Okay, so now I'll show you what happens if you're wanting to do the distributive method, and then you can decide which method you prefer. It's totally up to you. You can get the same answer either way. Okay, so for the distributive method, the first thing you need to do is distribute the 2 to everything inside the bracket. Okay, so then we would have 2 times x minus 2 times 1 equals 6. Okay, so that leaves us with 2x minus 2 equals 6. Okay, and then now you would follow the same principles as before. Okay, so we would have construct, deconstruct. Okay, so the first thing that's happening to x here is it's being multiplied by 2. And then the next thing that happens to x, the next thing that's furthest away, it's being subtracted by 2. Okay, so when we deconstruct it, we're going to add 2 to both sides, and then we're going to divide everything by 2. Okay, so when I do that, I have plus 2 plus 2. Okay, so that gives me 2x equals 8. And now divided by 2, x equals 4. Okay, so I end up with the same value for x. The only difference is that this took a few more steps. Okay, so now let's check it and make sure we have the right answer. So we take our original equation, which was 2 brackets x minus 1 equals 6, 2 brackets 4 minus 1 equals 6, 2 bracket 3 equals 6, 6 equals 6. Hey-o! Okay, so you got it right. So you can decide if you want to use the distributive property or not. So we'll call this option number 2. Okay, it's totally up to you. Let's try out the next one. Okay, next one has a lot of 4s. Okay, So I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit. Okay, so we have negative 4 times 4 plus 2n minus 4 equals negative 44. So we can see there's going to be a lot more steps here. So I'm going to set up my table here and I'm going to go through the equation. So I only have one n, so I don't have to simplify anything. So that's nice. So first I'm going to start here. What's the first thing happening to n? Okay, it's being multiplied by 2. Okay. What's the next thing happening to n? Okay, well, n is inside some brackets and the number 4 is being added to n. Okay, so I'm going to add 4. Okay. Now, what's happening just outside the brackets? Okay, this is being multiplied. So it's touching, this is not touching. This is a separate operation. So I'm going to do this first. Okay, so because this is touching the brackets, that means multiplying. So then it's being multiplied by negative 4. Watch out for that negative. And then the last one, subtracting 4. Okay, so now here we have a 4-step problem. Okay, so what's the opposite of subtracting? We're going to add. Opposite of multiplying, we're going to divide by negative 4. Opposite of adding, subtract. Opposite of multiplying, divide. Okay, so this is how we built it. Now we're going to deconstruct it going from the bottom up. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is add 4. Okay, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So I get this cancels out, so I'm left with negative 4 times 4 plus 2n. And negative 44 plus 4 is just minus 40. Okay, next step. Okay, divide everything by negative 4. Divide everything by negative 4. Okay, so then this cancels out, and I'm left with 4 plus 2n on the left, and on the right, the negatives cancel out, and I'm left with 10. Okay, so we've done these 2 steps. Next, we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Okay, so this cancels out. On the left, I'm left with 2n equals 10 minus 4 is 6. Did that one. And then last, divide by 2. Okay, 2's cancel out. I'm left with n equals 3. Okay, so like I said, you can decide which method you want to use. It's totally up to you. Okay, and then to check our work, okay, I use my original equation, so minus 4 times 4 plus 2n minus 4 equals negative 44. And I'm going to plug in what n equals, which is 3 minus 4 equals negative 44. So now I get minus 4, 4 plus 6 minus 4 equals negative 44. Inside the bracket, that's 10. So minus 4 times 10 minus 4. Minus 4 times 10 would be minus 40. Minus 4. Well, I think we can see that we are on the right track. Yes. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So just following our order of operations, and we're able to get the left side equal the right side, which shows that n equals 3 is the correct solution for this equation. Okay, so let's try the next one. Okay, so again, we have lots of steps here. We only have one n, so we don't have to simplify anything first. So I'm going to set up my table. How is the equation constructed? Okay. So here's my n. The first thing that's happening to n is it's being multiplied by 5. Okay. Next thing that's happening to n, well, n is inside a bracket and positive 1 is being added. Okay, so we're going to add 1. Outside the bracket, okay, we have 3, okay, so multiply by 3, and then everything is subtracted by 3. Okay, so I'm going to pause here, and I want you to try set up your deconstruction. Okay, how are you going to deconstruct this and then solve for n and check it? Okay, so I'll go through it right now, but I want you to try it yourself. Okay. Okay, so I got n equals 5, and when I go to check it, right on, minus 75 equals minus 75. Okay, so now you have just tried some 4-step equations. That's awesome. Okay, let's take a look at the next page. Okay, so now here, these two equations, notice that we have more than one f, okay, on each side of the equation. So here we're definitely going to have to use the distributive property first, okay, and then we can solve like we have been, okay. Distributive, simplify, and then solve, okay. So it says, when presented with brackets on each side, follow the same steps, okay. Distribute the value in front of the brackets. Place the terms with the variable on one side, so we're going to simplify, and terms with the constants on the other, and then isolate the variable. Okay, so let's give this a try. Okay, so we're going to take this -3 and distribute it to everything inside the brackets here, and the 2 to everything inside the brackets here. We can't use our flow chart because there's more than one variable. Okay, first we have to bring it down to one variable. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we're going to have -3f, because -3 times f. Then we have -3 times +3 is -9. On the right side, we're going to have 2f, and then 2 times +3 is +6. Okay, so we still have more than one f. Okay, so let's make our f positive, so let's bring this to this side. So to get rid of the -3, we're going to add 3f, and we're going to add 3f. So now we have -9 equals 5f plus 6. And then we'll move the 6 to the other side. Okay, now really you don't have to. We can actually just solve it straight from here. Okay, so actually let's do that. C, D. Okay, so how is it set up? How is it constructed? Okay, well, f is being multiplied by 5, and then we are adding 6. So the opposite of that is subtract 6 and divide by 5. Okay, so when we do that, minus 6 minus 6, that gives us negative 15 equals 5f. And then we're going to divide by 5. F equals negative 3. Right on. And as you start to do this, I'm sure, I'm almost positive, that you're going to start to be able to see what the value is a lot sooner, okay? Especially when the math is pretty simple. So I'm going to go back to my original equation. Okay, and I'm going to check it. Watch out for those negatives. Okay, don't forget about them. They can make things pretty tricky if you're not paying attention. Happens to me all the time. Okay, so I get 2 times 0, and I get minus 3 times, so that's 0 again. 0 equals 0. Right on. Don't see that very often. Okay, let's try the next one. Okay, so here we have another equation. We have brackets on each side, and which is okay, but we also have the variable that appears more than once. So this means we have to simplify first, and then we can solve for our equation. Okay, so I'd like you to try it. Okay, and then enter your answer, and then you'll get to watch and see what happens. Okay, go for it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute the 1 to everything inside the brackets. Okay, so I'm going to have b plus minus 1 times 5b will be negative 5b. Minus 1 times minus 2 will be plus 2. Equals minus 2 plus 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times negative b is negative 2b. Okay, now I'm going to get all my variables together. Okay, so over here, these two together, positive plus negative 5b will be negative 4b plus 2 equals negative 2 plus 2 is 0 minus 2b. And I'm going to bring this 4b over here to make it positive. Okay, so I'm going to add 4b, add 4b. So now I have 2 equals 2b. Okay. What's happening to b? Well, it's being multiplied by 2, so I'm going to divide it by 2. Okay, so I get b equals 1. Okay, right on. And now over here, let's check it, make sure we're okay. Because sometimes the simplest equations, you'll be like, oh yeah, I totally got it, and it'll seem right, and then you go to check it, and nope, not quite at all. And it happens to me too, okay? I make mistakes all the time. Okay, so b is 1, so wherever I see a b, I'm going to put a 1. Equals minus 2 plus 2 times 1 minus. Okay, so over here on the left, I have 1 minus 1 times 5 times 1 is 5, minus 2 is 3. And over here I have minus 2 plus 2 times 0. So quickly we're going to see that that's 0, so this is just minus 2. And over here, negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. 1 minus negative 3 will be negative 2. Right on. Awesome job. Okay. And that's it for today. Okay.